5.5 minutes remaining in free practice 2. We've just seen Garrett Gerloff set a new personal best, 1 minute 34.610. Tom Sykes, the fastest he's gone today as well, 1 minute 34.867. So a little bit of a step from the BMWs as well later on in this free practice 2 session. Bautista still out there, 1 minute 34.184. So still not too far adrift of his fastest time of the session, and still faster than anyone else has been this afternoon. Rinaldi's time, remember, a 134.283. So Bautista 134.184 is still ahead of what anyone else is able to do.
Yeah, and Alvaro's got that edge right now, but it is a case of trying to see who's able to get close to him at this session. But races are different as well. You never know what's going to happen whenever you line up for the races, but right now Alvaro's pace just so impressive, and all he wants to do is dominate as well. He wants to make sure he rubs it in everyone's face, and they're able to see just how good he's riding right now.
Good to see Loris Baz getting in some useful laps this afternoon. The number 76 bike has completed 19 laps, and when you think he lost about 15 minutes of his FP1 session earlier on with a problem with the coolant pipe that was reported from down in pit lane. Good news to see Baz heading towards a 20th completed lap in free practice 2 this afternoon.
Yeah, and obviously for Loris, we've seen so many free practice sessions where he's had technical issues, where he's had problems, so good to see him get that mileage in this session. We did see Jonathan Rea do a full 21 lap stint at the start of this session. That's a full race distance for Rea, so for him and for Kawasaki, they at least know what to expect in tomorrow's race if the conditions are like this, and the expectation is that Saturday is going to be hot, Sunday might well have some rain on the way.
Before we head into the final flying laps, as it were, quick word for Ryo Mizuno at the bottom of the timesheets as well. He's gained almost 2 seconds on what he was able to do in FP1, so acclimatising quite nicely this afternoon.
Yeah, himself and Isaac Vinales. Vinales running about the same pace as Mizuno, but both of them down there at the bottom of the times. And for Isaac, having missed all of free practice 1, that's got to be encouraging as well. That looks like it's at the end of the lap, maybe at the slow turn 14 for Iker Lecuona. So he probably just tucked the front through there, and he'll come back to the pits now just to get everything double checked and try and get out for a last lap at the end of the session.
And we might have an opportunity to see the end of it here for Iker Lecuona, and showing some frustration as he makes his way back up to his feet.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Iker, we've seen that a few times this season, and we'll see what he's able to do during the course of the rest of the weekend. Pete Jennings there is crew chief, looking on with Leon Camier, and they're not looking too pleased with that. And you can see now for Iker, the bars aren't in the right place, so he should have come back to the pits after that crash, so he'll definitely be getting a flag to make sure he comes back now.
Yes, and this lap obviously gone from him. That black flag has now come out to remind him to come back to the pit lane after an incident. Inconvenient actually for him, because he was very close to the pit lane to be able to come straight back in from turn 14. Yeah,
he wanted to just try and stay out there to get another lap in at the end of the session, probably do a practice start, but as it is, he'll run out of time now, you'd imagine.
So Alvaro Bautista leads free practice 2, 1 minute 33.8, his fastest time, and he's still less than a tenth of a second slower than that lap on his latest effort. Michael Ruben Rinaldi second, Alex Lowe's in third. Jonathan Rea down in 8th position. He's on for an improved lap here as Bautista just crosses that line. Only loses a tenth of a second compared to his fastest time. Jonathan Rea loses a little bit of ground through the final sector, and right with him on track as well, Andrea Locatelli directly behind.
Yeah, and for Jonathan Rea, we've seen there that he's gone out for that time attack at the end of the session, but it's very difficult to do that many laps during the free practice session, come back in and then go back out for one quick couple of lap run at the end of the session. But for Rea, at least he can be pretty pleased with getting the information, even if he's 9th on the combined times. The goal is just to have the information. Free practice is just that, and it's the Super Pole session that really counts, and we know whenever we come to a 1 lap special that Jonathan Rea is incredibly strong in that format.
A quick word on Andrea Locatelli, down in 15th position at the moment in free practice 2. Obviously much closer to the front in FP1 earlier on today with P5. So whether it's something in particular that Locatelli's working on this afternoon, I couldn't say, but he is well out of position.
Yeah, he's about a second off the pace on the combined times and down in 10th overall. So for Locatelli, must be working on a slightly different program to what we would usually see from him. But it's also a case of it's just quite difficult right now. Whenever you've got Alvaro Bautista with a half a second in hand on the rest of the field, the lap times look slow from a lot of other riders, but for Locatelli, he's a few tenths of a second and you jump right up the order. But we'll see if he can do that on the next couple of laps before the end of the session.
Well, I love how your pace comparison is to anyone other than Bautista as well. So in a different league at the moment, 20 seconds remaining in free practice 2. Locatelli will get one more lap in then. That was a new personal best for the afternoon, 1 minute 35 flat for Andrea Locatelli for P14.
Well, when we see the run summary, the lap summary from Alvaro Bautista at the end of this session, keep in mind the time, 1 minute 34.283. That's Rinaldi's second fastest time in this session, and just look to see how many laps Bautista's put in that's faster than his teammate and the second fastest man out there, because it's been soul destroying for a lot of riders out there to look at what he's been able to do. But for Alvaro, that's what the program was today. You never know what it can be tomorrow, though.
Lecuona just noticed as popped up on our timing screens as having squeezed out of the pit lane before the checkered flag fell there. So he will get in the practice start that we presume he was after. But either way, he's making his way through the second sector of the lap now. The checkered flag has already fallen. Bautista finds more time in the first sector. Really quite astonishing at this stage of the session for Alvaro Bautista, having completely dominated free practice 2. Didn't take top spot in FP1 earlier on today, but he's certainly going to take top spot in FP2 this afternoon, and he could well lower the bar here.
He needs a good run to the end of the lap, though, if he wants the clean sweep of fastest time in all 4 sectors. So we'll see if Alvaro's able to do that. That's the only thing left for him. Probably not going to be able to do it now, but you can see how hard he was pushing there.
Yes, and another little wobble coming through the final turn as well. Alvaro Bautista giving it absolutely everything in the run to the line, and that costs him at least a 1/10 of a second in sector 4. So it's a 1:33.9 on his final lap, but I don't think we'll hold that against him based on that performance in FP2.
So Alvaro's done 23 laps in that session, including out laps and first flying laps at the start of the session. By my count, he's done 12 laps faster than anyone else has managed in this session. So really impressive. You have to dot the cap to him for the run that he's been able to do.